Ooh, doggy. What is going on, beautiful people? I hope and pray y'all are just doing incredibly, incredibly well. So I am here once again with Jared, one of the founders of Hey Rafi. What's up, Big Papa?
What's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you.
Doing phenomenally well, y'all. Everybody put in the comments, congratulations. They just got a new addition to the family there. He's been gone a couple weeks, so I've been missing you, man.
Thanks, man. Miss you too.
That's
It's been a
number
while.
that's number 3 for him. So congratulations on that, man. I know that's exciting.
Thanks, Clifford. Yeah, officially outnumbered and
Mhm.
officially trying to figure out what life is all about with 5. So we'll see.
Oh,
Five
yes, sir.
family members, that is.
Yes, sir. I love it. It's gonna be good. Better
I think
lot of good wine.
so. Gonna need it, man. Gonna need it. What's up?
No, I
What's up
love
with
it.
you though? What's going on? It's been a while.
Rocking and rolling with Rafi. So we are underway to scale this to 100K a month in deals. Um, Things took off like a rocket, especially when we right before you left. Insane. Like it was like 3 contracts this week, 3 contracts the following week, 5 the week after that. Like it was on fire. And then I don't know, I guess the system got the baby blues because you were gone. And I did notice that my responses were a little low, but now things are kind of picking back up again with my response rate. And so I guess the question would be is when I come into like a few days where I'm not really getting as much response as I probably should, or what I'm normally getting, I guess would be the thing. What are recommendations or tips to kind of get in there for me to be a little proactive with the
Sure.
platform?
Yeah. Great question. Let's go ahead and pull up your account and we can, we can kind of take a peek at this together. So there's a couple things. First and foremost, I guess the best place to start is just looking at your offer volume. So every once in a while, it's good to know that, hey, look, maybe you've got a campaign set up where the filters are like pretty restrictive. And what I mean by that is like, let's say you've got a campaign where you're sending out offers for properties that are maybe 120 days on market or 90 days on market. Well, if you're working in like a really fast moving market, like there's already not going to be a ton of properties that fall under that criteria to begin with. So you quite honestly might just be losing some offer volume that goes out. And so just kind of an easy way to spot check this is like if you come into your account and like I'm going to click on each one of these campaigns here. The first one pull up says offers sent 135. So you sent 135 offers today. And so what I'll periodically do is I'll just come down here and I'll just double check. Yeah, you had 15 that went out there, 20, 15, 15, so on and so forth. And this is this is a numbers game at the end of the day. So you want to make sure that you just got a good volume going out daily in order to get that backlog of responses. So it doesn't look like you've got that problem. You got plenty of goodies, plenty of conversations flowing as far as, what's happening outbound. The other thing is, go ahead.
That I'm at 135 offers a day.
Mm-hmm. Does it feel like you're at 135 offers per day?
No. I think we can crank it up.
Let's go. Well, actually, so that's the one thing I want to talk. I got a handful of new campaigns that we can lead off with here, and actually, I'll pull that up while I've got us kind of chatting through some.
And I'm just kind of brainstorming here, just kind of curious to know. Maybe it's my competitive nature, but out of all of y'all's users, who's sending the most? Like, don't give me names, but what's the number of like most they're sending out a day? Like 200 offers, 300 offers.
You're actually probably up there with one of the top daily offers that's going out. We personally, we're probably at about 250 per day on our account.
Okay.
Granted, we've got a whole bunch of people that are, operating kind of behind the scenes on it. I would say though that, right now the person sending the most is outside of us is like 150. So you're like,
I'm up
you're
there.
right there at the top. But it comes and goes. It comes and goes.
Yeah. That
it seems like that might bother you a little Should we?
I think, well, now the goal just changed. Like, I'm thinking, okay, if you're sending out 250, I need to be up there because you're the standard. Like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, the easiest thing to do is to, of course, just come in here and edit the amount that you've got going out per day. So probably what I would suggest is the first thing that you should always do is come into each one of your campaigns and just look at the total amount of asterisk properties that are in there. If you wanted to send out one campaign where you're sending out 50 plus per day, you need to find available properties based on your filters at around 1,000, or else you'll run out pretty quickly. For instance, this campaign that I've got pulled up here, Liberty County, 272. If you send out maybe between 10 to 20 per day, you'll do a good job of kind of staying within what's available. Meaning there's constantly been a new properties that hit that requirement. Obviously, that's what we call your refresh rate. So you're never necessarily going to run out of available properties. Now, if you pick a number that's beyond that, you'll probably go through all of them faster, right? You're going to go beyond whatever that refresh rate is. So that way, every day you might only be sending out one or two. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind if you're really trying to go for the volume piece. But if I just were to go through this and I were to look at some of these, like this is a perfect one. So we got 3,300 available properties on the TX hedge fund campaign we've got set up, and you're sending out 20 offers per day. So if you really want to start to juice this, I'd tip the scale to 50 on this one. So that's the first thing that I would do. You want to go ahead and update that?
I do. I was actually going to ask you, can we go ahead and update it while you're in it?
Let's rock and roll. And let's just come through a couple of these other ones. Let's just take a peek.
And I want to, while you're doing that, I want to kind of update everybody. So y'all, if you're just watching this for the first time, Hey Rafi is an incredible platform that I'm using to send out offers on the MLS. We've actually done kind of a series on doing deals on the MLS. As y'all know, if you've been following me a while, this is a new marketing strategy for me for 2025. And Hey Rafi has just come in here and allowed me to set this on fire, y'all. There'll be a link if you're interested in the comments below, in the description below. Listen, it's not an affiliate link. Jared is not going to send me a check. It's just a platform that I believe in that is incredible. My goal here is to get y'all closing more deals. In this platform, it's not going to be for everybody, but if you're serious about closing deals, building relationships with agents, getting offers out there, hands down, I think this is an absolute no-brainer for folks.
Yeah, man, and really appreciate that too. And I just want to add something because I think a lot of your folks maybe kind of fall into this space as well. Like we've also noticed that like this seems to be like a really good place for somebody that's like looking just to get into real estate investing as like a nice like dip your toe in the water sort of practice. And that's because, there's extra complexity once you kind of get into the off market world of, dealing with homeowners, because now you have to both worry about their emotions and dealing with that, and also underwriting the property, making sure you feel good there. Whereas this, like, you're kind of starting at like the negotiation, which is maybe almost more of like the important part anyway. And like one thing that's kind of cool about this channel is you basically start the negotiation the second that you have some sort of like interest in the property, right? It almost always gets right to price and just getting down to brass tacks. So I only say that for the, the folks that are out there who are really interested in just kind of like maybe exploring the very first marketing channel that you might ever open up, or, hey, maybe you've tried bandit signs or you've tried some cold calling and it's just like exhausting for whatever reason, and you're just trying to get some activity rolling. Like this seems to be kind of like a nice first step. But that's my shameless plug.
No, I agree. It's funny because I actually did a video probably about a week ago or so talking about how I genuinely think this may be the easiest way for people to get started in real estate investing. I think back when I first started, I was pulling the pre-foreclosure list and cold calling like a madman for literally 10, 11 hours a day. That was very tedious, time consuming, and it sucked. It absolutely sucked, right? this allows people, especially people who have families, people who are working 9 to 5s, you can come in here, set your offers to go out in a way that you can manage it. And I'll even throw in here for everybody so you get an idea. When we launched this, I said that I was going to work this personally, not a VA, not a hired team member, because I really wanted to learn the process. And I'm spending about 2 hours a day on this, just to kind of give you an idea of how much time it's actually taking me to handle and manage, 135 offers going out a day.
Yeah. Well, now it's going to be a lot more than that. So I've updated all of your campaigns. I would say most of your campaigns qualified for me to kind of increase them pretty considerably. Just to give you an idea, like your Texas hedge fund, 3,300 offers, I updated that to 50. Most of them qualified to update them to 50. I did pull some of them back to like 5 offers per day. Like you've got a Georgia hedge fund campaign for condos only. You've got very low volume there. Mm-hmm. So I pulled some of the stuff back, but you're probably going to be north of 250 offers, roughly, and it does, it goes through.
It's going to fluctuate. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes through fluctuations a little bit. So you should get some more activity there, but yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way just to start getting more activity is just, turn up the throttle a little bit and always making more campaigns too, right? Like you always want to find new areas that are in your market or other opportunities. In fact, and I don't know if we need to go here on this one, Clifford, but maybe just some stuff to kind of share with you if you want to think about this. We don't have any keyword campaigns that are up here. And an easy place to start is open up a keyword campaign where we're going to target any opportunity where the listing description might say pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, TLC, handyman special, investor special, kind of that group of, buzzwords that end up becoming like maybe really interesting opportunities. Now for those type of campaigns, you want to change up your tactic a little bit because typically if I'm an agent, put yourself in their shoes for a moment, and you get a property, somebody comes to you with a super distressed property and you're going to put it up on the MLS. Well, you're going to do 2 things. You're hopefully going to price that property in a way that helps people understand that, hey, this is an investment opportunity, right? We need to move this quickly. So it's going to be priced to sell. And then the second thing that you're going to do is you're also going to make sure you disclose that information. But I guess the goal of that agent in this situation is to move that thing as quick as possible. So you would want to come in here and let's just pretend that we were going to create like a new keyword campaign.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because I was actually going to ask you about this. So I was actually talking to one of your other users on the platform, and they were telling me that they had some keyword campaigns set up. Yep. And I was like, well, I don't know what that is. I don't do that.
Well, good timing, huh?
Yeah, it really was.
I'm going to pick all of the available counties that you've got on your platform. I'll keep this the way it is for now, but I'm going to go ahead and create just so we can show you what it looks like to create this. Under filters, the main thing I want to do is I only want to select a time on market of 1 day. And that's because, look, that thing hits the market. You want to take first stab at that. It's going to be a lower offer than probably everything that's out there. So you want to make sure you're kind of first person in the door. The second thing that we want to do as a strategy is you want to make sure that your offer price is probably a little bit higher than I think where you're normally used to playing. And that's because, look, a good agent will price this thing in a way where there's already upside value from if you're looking like the ARV. So coming in at we'll just call it like a 65% discount. There's so much less opportunity in order to capitalize on that deal from other investors that might be looking at the same opportunity.
Yeah.
So question for you. Normally, I think a lot of your deals are teed up at 68%. Where do you want to land for this campaign if we were to set this up right now?
I don't know. I'm going to lean on your expertise here. 75, 80%.
I would almost, say start at the 80% mark, know, and as you go through due diligence, you can always, pull that number back as needed. You can also tweak this on the fly if, we're just sending out stuff that's like way, way, way too high.
Okay.
All right, let's do 80%. I'm going to set this to like an arbitrary 20. hit update, add your contract to this, gonna add your workflow, gonna come in here, 1 day on market. We're just gonna do single family. The only other thing I'm gonna do in here is because we're covering a pretty big area, I'm just gonna kind of set like a price max filter of 800K. We've noticed that like once you get some of those keywords into some of the areas where they're like $1 million property, some weird stuff starts happening. So I'm just going to try to exclude a lot of that.
Okay.
Investor special, investor friendly, TLC, fixer upper, handy, man, pre-foreclosure.
Sounds like you know them all.
Been there, done that. We'll update it, and that will now go ahead and start sending that out. So that's kind of one strategy you can think about. There are some other things that we could kind of get into if you'd like. Maybe just to kind of share with you high level perspective, depending on how good your dispositions network is, something that you could spend your time thinking about is also portfolios. So now these are lower tier. These are much fewer opportunities, but your ability to capitalize on these can be a lot easier as far as getting the deal under contract. But I'll give you an example. Let's just say you were to go to Zillow and you were going to type in the keyword portfolio in Dallas, Texas. Chances are there's probably maybe 1 or 2 deals that are out there where somebody, probably an investor, is selling a portfolio. And a portfolio could be a piece of land plus a property. It could be multiple pieces of land. It could also be multiple properties that are all tied into the same deal. And an easy way to filter by this stuff is just keyword portfolio. And then you want to filter by anything that's $1 million plus. And the strategy here is really interesting. We've actually had some users had some success with this in the past. You target a portfolio and you target it at 95% of whatever it's listed for. So it's $1 million. You're going to come in at whatever, 95, 950K. Well, when you get the person on the phone, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to buy it just for a cash deal, would your seller be open to removing it from the MLS and giving me the marketing rights to market this off market? Sounds weird, but what you do is then you take all of the parcels that are part of that portfolio and you either group them off into smaller groups or you sell them off individually, and you negotiate the spread in advance with the person that's selling the property. So let's just say it's you. So you're selling your $1 million portfolio and let's just say it's got 4 properties on it. Well, if I ran some quick math, right, I know that I can probably get like 300 to 450K per property on each one of those things. And so what I say is Clifford, if you let me sell these things off individually, like give me the rights to assign each one of these individual properties individually, but let me keep the marketing rights to this for 6 months, I'll give you an additional 5% from whatever you listed it for. But you end up just keeping the spread at the long run, and you also never actually hold the rights to the property itself. So it's almost like a reverse wholesale, if you will, but you're still, signing a contract. It's pretty interesting.
No, I like it. And there you are. If that's not a golden nugget, if you stayed till this part, anybody that stayed this long in our call, they just got hit with a golden nugget. But I think it's interesting too, because what you just honestly showed me is that there's a whole nother world to get creative, to not just think black and white, like a whole nother gray area that we can operate in. Because now it made me think, and I feel like we talked about it vaguely before, but like targeting raw land or something of that nature there, just getting creative there for a whole new world of opportunities that people are overlooking, because most folks probably are not going after those portfolios.
Definitely. Here's one more, maybe another nugget. You could take this and you can also do an Airbnb arbitrage opportunity. So you can filter just by multifamily. So if you were to filter just by multifamily and tweak your offer messaging just a little bit different, instead of an offer to purchase, you would have the offer to lease or sublease the actual multifamily itself, right? And maybe you don't tee up numbers as part of that, right? Because you're going to want to get a pro forma, but the letter becomes very simple. Clifford, notice you're selling this multifamily. You know, I'm actually an investor. Seems like a really good opportunity. Would you be interested in partnering here around a sublease? You know, I'd be willing to extend a 12-month lease at your behalf with the rights to sublet out as necessary, and see what conversation kind of takes place. You know, so for you property managers that are out there, great opportunity to maybe go get an extra 1, 2, you know, these, you know, kind of creative rental deals that are out there. So there's some other cool stuff that you can do.
Exactly. A lot of folks don't know. I don't talk about it much, but I was doing that before the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah, I was doing. That's how I had my Airbnb set up.
Nice, nice.
On
What's the Airbnb world like in Dallas? Is there a good market for it?
They were actually in Houston where I was, but when the pandemic hit, we shut them down, and then I never turned them back up.
Yeah.
So I've just kind of stayed away from them. I don't know. I'm not a big. They did well. Like, we made cash flow, but outside of that, it wasn't anything. It wasn't game-changing cash flow the way that some of the people make it think, like, oh, you're going to go out here, you're going to cash flow $5,000 a month. Don't get me wrong, like $500,000, $800 on some really good months when, you know, some people were coming in, but other than that, like, it was
Yeah.
nothing life-changing to make me want to keep with it.
Yeah.
It's just not my cup of tea, in my opinion.
It's probably also got to be pretty market dependent as well. You know, I look at like a Nashville or maybe like a Miami, you know,
Exactly.
or maybe, you know, one of those markets, they might be totally different.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I didn't know you did that.
But I think too, it's partially me too. Like, even when I'm traveling, I typically don't even get in Airbnbs. Like, my wife and I, we genuinely love staying at different hotels, like boutique hotels, and just even like when we spent our month in London, like, we would hop around, like a week here at this hotel, go on this side of town a week here. I don't know. We just enjoy the combinations of those, and so I think I'm just kind of biased, and so I don't know.
You could always buy a hotel. What do you think about that?
There you go. Now you're talking. I love it.
So I got one other nugget I wanted to share with you, and that's just some low hanging fruit on performance around. And let me share my screen again here. But performance around your inbox, because there is a lot of leftover opportunity that's in the inbox on stuff that just maybe never got hit.
Okay.
So there's some best practice, and I know you've got a lot of Rafi suggestions that are in here, and it looks like you've been coming through them periodically and updating them, and, you know, making the responses as normal. But since I'm right here, I want to just point out, look at all of the gray, right? See, there's a lot of gray. These are just non-respondents, and that's not uncommon, right? I mean, you're sending out 150 offers, and you'll start to get volume of responses over time, right? So, like, even if somebody doesn't respond to you today, they'll respond maybe a couple days later. Maybe it's a couple of weeks later, right? Oh, hey, I saw that this went to spam. So sorry, I didn't mean to miss you there. But there's other just like active opportunities where we should be following up because it's a really good, but the agent never responded to us for whatever reason. So one of the first things that we like to do is we'll come into filters and we'll go to lead status and we'll select cold. Now, all of your cold lead statuses, these should be things, right, where we have sent out all of our offers, and this thing has, we've sent out the offer, we sent out the follow-up, and we never got a response one way or the other. So what we like to do is we like to follow up at 30 days and then even again at 60. So what you notice I'm doing here is I'm scrolling to the bottom and I'm looking right now. It says 18 days ago, and soon we'll get to the 20 days ago. And I'll probably stop at 20 so I don't have to keep scrolling here. But just to give you an example, let's say this said 30 days. I'm going to come through all of the 30-day items. And as I come through each one of them, what I want to do is I want to come over here and we'll look at this thing that says listing status. And right now this one says active. So this one is still listed. You sent out an offer 20 days ago. Let's just pretend it said 30 days ago. It's still active. It still hasn't moved. And we never got a response from this agent. We actually have a process in place where we will go in and we will now call this agent. And the conversation is very straightforward. Hey, Clifford, we sent you an offer a couple weeks back on this property. I noticed you never got back to us. We're still interested in having a conversation here. Wanted to see if you're open for for some dialogue or wanted to see if your seller's interested in entertaining this offer. This is actually some of the best opportunities that we run into are times where we send out an offer because now there's an inherent level of distress. There's a pretty good chance that the agent probably saw your email, thought it was spam, thought it was wacky, just didn't want to entertain it. But now you're coming back and you're providing now that second or third touch point. Now you start to have some real life like interaction with people who are going to take your offer serious. So although it might be a very low offer, now you are kind of coming in and providing a little bit of saving grace by being able to hopefully move this property for somebody who's, struggling to do so. This especially is true, right? If you've got a campaign running and you're sending out offers for, time on market of 90 days, like now you're getting into the window where this property's maybe been on the market for 120 days, 200 days, starts to get very, very interesting. So that's one of the first things we'll do. And when we do that, we'll of course update the lead status probably to like a warm working or whatever, depending on how the conversation goes, just so that we know we can come back into it and work it to make sure we get an update. So that's some easy low hanging fruit. And the other thing we'll do is the exact same thing, but with our not interested bucket. So if I come in the not interested,
hold on for me. I'm sorry. If I'm looking down, I'm taking notes, y'all. So hold on, bear with me. Because this is money. I'm actually gonna really do this. I think that's gonna be. I see what you're saying. Like when that house 20 days done passed, 30 days done passed. There's a reason it hasn't sold, and when we're coming back, like that's incredible.
That's the job of an investor, right? You're here to solve problems at the end of the day.
Exactly. Now, what was the second one? I'm ready. I'm sorry.
Second one is a very similar principle, but instead of going to the lead status for cold, you would want to go to lead status not interested. And these can be super interesting, right? So I'm going to pick one of these ones that's 90 days old. Mm-hmm. This, and I'll read it out loud, right? Seller not willing to consider owner financing or below asking price. Now, this one doesn't qualify, right? Because if I come over here, it says off market. So that one's already sold. So you can ignore that one. Go to the next one, also off market. I'm going to go to the next one, off market. So all of these have been, in fact, sold. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. So 91 days ago, you reached out to this person. They got back to you. Agent sent me a text and said the seller was not interested. So that was 90 days ago. So now the property is still active. And so I wonder if they're still not interested. So these are also the exact same situations where we'll open up new dialogue where, the property is still listed. It's still active. Now for these two, we might spend a couple extra minutes just kind of thinking about the underwriting on the deal before we call, because we're already eyes on it. So, and maybe here's a quick nugget to maybe help some of your community members who are just getting into this. Instead of doing a full deal assessment on the property in question, one of the things we'll do is we'll come here to Zillow. I'm going to pull up the Zillow page. Well, this one now says pending, so that must have just happened. So this could be an interesting deal, but let's pretend it wasn't. I'm going to scroll down until I find this page. So it should look like a neighborhood view, and you should see a whole bunch of numbers in all of these like lots. And what we'll do, and this is a little bit of a hack, so anybody can steal this if they want, but I'm going to take the Zestimates of all of the homes that touch this property. So here's 411, here's 415, here's 402. One doesn't show up here, so I'll just take this one, 368. And then I'll take a couple that are down here as well. So 451 and 425. I'll average those out. And that now becomes my new Zestimate, because typically the Zestimate doesn't even show up on the actual page itself. But let's just say that was like 420. I will then take 80% of that as a new kind of gauge on like where my as is offer should be. So 420, I'm still probably in the right ballpark, to be honest with you. If we go back here and look at where we landed, right? So 381, you're probably still about there. So that's probably okay. But the whole point being, as long as that number is not super dramatic from where you started, pick up the phone, re-engage with them just to see if there's, opportunity here that exists. Since I pulled this up and, this one says under contract or pending, when it does show up on the actual platform, you'll see a little under contract or pending opportunity over here as well. And when that happens, we'll also engage with agents that way as well. Like this is all about building relationships. And so if we ever see that, just like add some extra sauce to this thing, we'll put a note or typically send an email just saying like, hey, Kimberly, notice, this deal is now under contract, congratulations. Hope that works out well for you. If you're interested in extending out secondary or backup offers, we'd love to be considered. Best regards, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I like it. Oh, I like it. No, I think I got my work cut out for me. I think that's a good point. So now when things kind of slow down on the responses, to go and actually spend some time. Actually, I think I just need to make it part of the time, actually, because I think it's going to be a huge value add and really be able to maximize the platform in all its glory, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there's so much low hanging fruit, right? I mean, if we just looked at the amount of leads that were in that run that we just went through, think of all the non-responses that you got, right? I mean, you're still getting like a 45% response rate, but I mean, that's still 55% of the time you're not hearing anything at all. So there's some gold in there.
Nice. I like it. Well, brother, I know this was quite a bit, and I know you got family in there to tend to, but I appreciate you being so generous with your time and diving into this for me, cranking things up for me, and really giving me some guidance on how to best use the platform. So I appreciate it. Hey, y'all, link will be in the description to book a call with Jared or his team and see if this is a good fit for y'all. I do personally recommend it. But awesome, brother. You have a blessed one, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Later.